Hello, my name's John, this is one of my Grey Knight conversions, and you're watching Wargames Models and Other Hobbies. Hello, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be running through how I'm starting to paint my Grey Knight conversions. I'll leave a link in the descriptions to all the previous videos of me making these guys. What I'm going to be running through today is how I get my base of the silver armour that I'm going to be painting these guys with. So it's 3 easy steps which I'm going to run through to get to this stage. So let's start. So the first paint that I'm going to use, surprisingly, is a base coat of Grey Knight Steel. And with this base coat, I'm not going to worry about being too careful on how I'm painting this on the model. I'm starting with a white base coat. It's my personal preference, but you could probably do the same with a different colour base coat, but I do like starting with a white one. So, as I said, I'm not being too careful as I'm painting this base coat colour. When I get onto the details, that's when I can start being a little bit more careful and so on. But I just want to get an even coat of this paint over the whole thing. Now, seeing that there is a new campaign book out for Warhammer 40,000, and seeing the Grey Knights are in it, or at time of filming I haven't got the book, so I'm not sure if they are directly in it or they're just hinted at. There is a kind of issue I have with them, and it's the reason why I did these conversions. They're not getting scaled up at the moment. By the time this video comes out, I may be proved wrong, and if I am, fantastic. I am aware that there's some new models coming out. It would be interesting to see the size of those in comparison to the original Grey Knight models and Primaris models. Let's get back to talking about the paintwork. I've got each step of the armour paintwork done on a model, so I'm going to jump between the models so we don't have to wait for drying time or anything like that. But I do like to do my real-time painting videos, so what you see is what you get. There's no cuts unless I've got to let the dog out, there's a phone call, something like that. But what you see is the time it takes to paint them. Now, the key thing with these first coats of paint that I'm putting on, like I said, I'm not too worried if they are messy. You could, if you wanted to go down the non-metallic route, use greys for the armour. Off the top of my head, I think I'd probably go with a grey that is used with the Space Wolves. I think it's a Fenris grey, and then lighten that up with progressive coats of dry brushing or edge highlights. Entirely up to you. I want my Grey Knights to be metallic, so that's where I'm going with these. So it is only a small little force of Grey Knights. All of them are conversions, and like I said, I'll leave a link in the description to the playlist I've created for all of the models. This video will appear in that playlist as well. And I am thinking of doing another video for how I paint all the details. At the moment this is just the silver armour, and what I'd like to do is get all of the conversions to the same level before I start doing any little details and things like that. But if you'd like to see a video on how I paint all of the details, please hit a like, drop it in the comments. If I know people want to see the videos, then I will make them. Okay, I think I'm getting to a point where I'm happy with the silver coat all over this. Say silver, it's the bluey steel. Let's clean my brush. I do find when I'm doing these videos, I do babble somewhat, so apologies if I am babbling. So there is that first coat of granite steel. So let's jump through to the next model. So this one has had that coat of paint on it and it is all dry. And what I'm going to do now is in a wash of Nuln Oil. So this is a wash that goes over all of the areas that have been painted, and one thing that you notice very quickly is how it knocks back the blue tone to a lot more kind of grey and a silver finish. If you wanted to keep that blue tone, you could probably add a bit of a blue wash as well, but I do like how the Nuln Oil picks up all of the little details here and there, and it kind of saves a lot of time when painting. So I let it do the hard work picking up all of these details for me. But yeah, I don't have many models in this little granite task force. There is a total of 12, all converted from the simple conversions like these ones to the more complex ones. But I have adjusted some of them recently as well. So those that originally I wanted them to be squad leaders have swapped around a little bit, and the weapons have changed just to make it thematically similar in the squad itself inside the task force. I am thinking possibly of doing a land raider. I haven't built a tank for a long time, and I do happen to have a land raider kit. So if you'd like to see that process, please again hit a like, drop it in the comments. If you fancy it, you could always hit a subscribe. I don't make anything out of this channel at the moment, I just do it as part of my hobby, but it's nice to know people are interested in the things that I'm doing, and I'm aware I don't get loads and loads of views, but it doesn't bother me. If I wasn't doing the video, I'd probably still be here chatting to myself anyway, so. So I've nearly got this wash done. So if you haven't seen the previous videos, you'll notice that the backpacks on these guys are standard Space Marine backpacks. It just changes the profile slightly, so they don't look like Primaris Space Marines straight away. They do have that look of something slightly older. But yeah, I do like classic Space Marine models, but the scale creep that's happened over the years, and now with the Primaris Marines, I do think they look a little bit out of place, unfortunately. But that's my own personal opinion. I still have plenty of them to make and work with, so okay, I think I've got that one. So there we have that Nuln Oil wash over the whole thing. Obviously there's loads of little details like skulls and things on the belts that I'm going to paint later on, but like I said, I'll do that in another video. So when I've got to that stage, let's bring on one that's fully dried, you'll see that you can see some of the blue coming through, but what I'm wanting to do is give it a dry brush of Iron Breaker. So this is a lighter metallic, and my plan with this is to possibly throughout the painting process is to add slightly lighter tones throughout as different bits are painted, just to get the finish that I'm kind of looking for. In my eyes, they're kind of, I want to have quite a silver finish, but at the same time I want it to be quite grimy. But I think that's going to come about from other details that I put on these guys. But we'll see how it goes. I've got plenty of time to perfect these. And it is just a starting point with this paint, and I think very quickly that's done. And as you can see, I'm being really haphazard with it. I'm not really worrying too much at all. So there we have that dry brushing over the top. It's knocked it back slightly, the darker Nuln Oil tones. There's still a little bit of that blue coming through. We've got that silver top, so if I compare that to the previous one, it's just got a little bit more shine to it. And you can see that in this model, which is now drying. But yeah, that's it so far. So I've still got quite a few of these Grey Knights to work on and paint, but if you'd like to watch some of the videos of me making them, like I said, I'll leave that in the description. I thought I'd interrupt this video on how I start painting the Grey Knights armour by showing you the Grey Knights with their armour painted, just so you can get an idea. Again, obviously this is only the first coat on the armour. There's a lot more details to do, and I would like to do another video on this, but I want to run through each of them so you can see them. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and then we'll have a look at each of them so you can see what this base coat looks like. So there we have that guy, and as I've said throughout the video, I'll leave a link in the description to how I converted all of these models. But yeah, this I'm still kind of thinking whether or not to put another dry brush over the top of the original Grey Knight steel, but I think it might turn out a little bit too blue for my liking. But I'm quite happy with the finish so far on all of these. We'll go on to some more of the conversions. So here is the Librarian. And there's a lot of details I want to paint on these. So, like I said, I'm going to do another video on the details, and I'd like to know from you guys how you'd like me to do that one. Whether I do a few little videos on different types of details, or alternatively just do one video with all the different details, like how to do the shoulder pads, if I'm going to put transfers on them, all this kind of thing. So drop it in the comments if you'd like to see that. I just wanted to show you guys before I finish this video all of the metallic armour completed, and giving you an idea of the look of it. Obviously I want to add some golds and reds and things like that here and there, and here's the last guy just there. But yeah, that's kind of it really. Anyway, let's get back to the video. If you've got any suggestions for other colours and things that I could put on these guys, please drop it in the comments. But for now, that's it. Nice, quick and easy how I'm going to start painting these Grey Knights. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name's John, and you've been watching War Games, Models, and Other Hobbies.